Okay, YouTubers, I've got the tire off. I always recommend you take the tire, lay it flat, slide it under the frame portion of the vehicle if you don't have any jack stands. If something were to happen, it would fall down on that tire and rim. Save you from some serious injury. Okay, here we have the rotor. This here's the rotor. Your tire bolts onto there. Tire and rim. This is your dust cap here. We're going to be taking that off. These are your brake shoes. There's one here and one on the other side. This is your caliper mechanism that hydraulically pushes those shoes together, clamps that rotor, and gives you your stopping power. Okay, so there's two bolts back there. You can see my 3/8 ratchet, my 13mm socket, and I loosened those up. You'll see there's two bolts. They're easy to get off. Okay, just set them in your pan over there with your other stuff. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to collapse the rotor a little bit, because right here on the very edge, the brake shoes don't go past the edge of your rotor. It always leaves a little lip right there that's higher than the surface. So when you go to take your brake shoes off, you'll go up and it'll hit that little edge there, and you can't get the rotor or the caliper off the rotor. So if you take a screwdriver somewhere, just kind of wedge it in there, you'll feel the plunger releasing. There's a hydraulic plunger right back in there. Of course, that's got a rubber grommet. You don't want to be poking on that. But you just need to get it loose enough. You can hear it creaking. I can feel it separating. Okay, and once that's done, now there's a couple little spring clips right there that kind of hold that caliper to that brake shoe. I'll just take my screwdriver and that just pops out. And now your caliper is free. There's the disc, the hydraulic disc that pushes on that back brake shoe and squeezes them on the caliper. You want to set this up here nice and safe. You don't want to dangle it from this hose, this rubber hose, or drop it. You can break or damage that hose. Then you have the fluid will leak out and you'll have no brakes. Some guys take a piece of wire and tie it to the spring. But if you get a nice good solid spot there, you'll be okay. Then you just slide these little metal clips here and here, and just pull that brake shoe towards you, and it'll come out of those metal clips. In the back, when you push away from you, and we might have to get a screwdriver to help that along a little bit. And there it is. That's the brake shoes out. Okay. Now, we'll take our flat tip screwdriver and we'll pull this dust cover off, which I was not aware. Somebody who's worked on this before damaged it. And that's not good, because water can get in there and ruin your bearings. One thing you can do, a couple things. I've used water pump pliers. I just wiggle that cap loose. Or some guys will take a little ball peen hammer like this and work that loose. You can see that starting to come loose right there. Now I can get my screwdriver in there, hopefully. Maybe not. Just work that around a little bit. I can get my screwdriver in there. It's tough to video with one hand and work with the other, but I don't have a professional camera and tripod or a helper. Well, I'm doing it one-handed. Okay, and there's your dust cover. I'm going to have to replace that. Although it doesn't, which is a good thing. Now, to kill a couple ants here, take your pliers. I use these water pump pliers or channel locks. And there's a cotter key in there. You want to fold that cotter key back so it's straight. And I found the straighter you get it, the easier it is to pull out. If it's tough to pull out, you can clamp onto it after you straighten it with a pair of pliers and then hit the bottom side of your pliers and drive it up and get it. But that's your cotter key. One thing I recommend is have some new cotter keys, because yesterday I went to put the old ones back in on the other side and it busted off. I had to go to town and get another one. Well, this here just pulls straight off. This is a retaining ring. After you put the cotter key, put this on the cotter key. That keeps this nut from working loose, so it never gets out of adjustment. Grab a paper towel here. And we're going to take our water pump pliers. I want to check to see how tight this nut is before I loosen it. That's about 1/8 of a turn. That's, you can see to tighten it. That's where it was at there. About 1/8 of a turn. Now I checked the book. The book says 1/2 a turn. Okay, well if I tighten it, okay, here's tight, and I give it 1/2 a turn, that's just too loose. You see that wiggling back and forth and the wobble? So when I put it back together, I'm only going to back it off 1/8 of a turn. You take that nut off. It's all greasy. Now you don't need a big socket and wrench for this nut, so don't let it intimidate you. Just a pair of channel locks, pair of pliers, whatever. Okay, I've got the nut off, and then the retaining washer. That has a groove on it. Lines up with this groove right here. Okay, and that holds your bearing in, your outer bearing. Just wiggle that, and the outer bearing will fall off in your hand. I'm going to hold this rotor with my other hand. Put that bearing in my little parts bin over there. And then your rotor will just pull off. Okay.